Did the book of Psalms copy from the hymn of Ra? What's going on, party people? The place to be. I go by the name of the BK Apologist, transmitting all the way live. New York is the city, Brooklyn is the borough. What's good? What's popping? Hope everybody's having a good Wednesday. We gotta say what's up to the party people in the chat. We got Andela Armstrong in the building. Blessings to you too. And if you have not yet already, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. That's him again. Please share this link to your Twitter. Well, it's not Twitter, I guess. It's X, your Gram, your Facebook. So we get a nice group of people here to see how it's going down. And if you like how it goes down with BK, you can show your appreciation via the PayPal link that's pinned on top of the chat, or you could be a monthly supporter of BK by becoming a patron, where you will be given an assortment of goodies to enhance your personal Bible study. Right? So we got Bodega Lady Michelle Turner in the check-in. We got KJ in the building. And yeah, man, please share this link. Get the people going. So so we're gonna revisit a friend of mine's. I've done quite a bit of videos on this individual, and if you're wondering why I keep doing these type of videos with this individual, because he keeps making the same claims about Christianity, and one of the claims is, of course, there's this constant plagiarizing or rip-off from ancient Kemetic texts. And of course, we're talking about my good friend Jabari Osaze, right? So, and again, there's no actual beef in the sense of I dislike the individual. That's never been the case. He's definitely somebody who's more even keeled in his approach, which I appreciate, though we disagree. He's definitely somebody I can see myself having a cup of tea with. I think it'll be very cordial. I think we both would have a good time, talking if we was ever to do that. But he insists to make these claims, and I insist in debunking his claims. So this is what this is about. So with that being said, let me play the clip that he did about maybe a couple of weeks ago. All right, so here we go.
This is another one of those sections of Kemetic text that seems to have found its way into the Christian canon. And of course, those people who are the practitioners of the canon of the Christian tradition have never given Kemet credit. In fact, what they do even today is they speak ill of the traditions of ancient Kemet, while they have actual copies of Kemetic text in their text. Fascinating. Take a look at this. These are the words of Andrew Cross in his book Psalm 104 and the Hymn to Aten. Andrew Cross is a professor at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. He says the parallels between the Hymn to Aten and Psalm 104 are not likely to be a coincidence. It is widely assumed that if there was outside influence, it was the Hymn to Aten that influenced the Hebrew scribe, but the means by which this might have occurred is puzzling. The Hymn to Aten only appears on the wall relief in a tomb where it would have been inaccessible to the public. Although it is possible the text existed in other forms and may have been transmitted to regions outside of Egypt during the very brief Amarna period, it is nevertheless difficult to conceive of how a hymn from the Amarna period reaches the lands of an Israelite scribe living long after Akhenaten's reforms were reversed and his name erased from Egypt's history books. This is an interesting quote. First of all, he's saying there's almost no way that we can say that one doesn't influence the other. Let's dispense with that. But on the same token, we have no idea how it must have gotten from one to the other. Not a clue. I think that this is interesting. It's one of those mysteries that we will hopefully one day receive an answer to.
So here we have him making this claim that somehow Psalm 104 is, I mean, he goes to such an extent that copies of the actual Kemetic text is embedded in the Bible, not just inspired, right? Copies. You see it in the Bible, right? This is what he's saying. So let me share real quick. All right, so here we go. So yeah, so this is the text, not the text, but this is the quote from the article that he quoted from. But even within this passage, the writer isn't making a decisive choice that this is the case, right? In fact, Jabari himself says, well, this is a mystery that I hope one day can be solved, right? But if it's mysterious and we're not sure if there is a one-to-one correlation, why quote the passage to begin with? Right? So, and if you've seen my videos in the past, you pretty much know where we're going to go next with this. Because, you know, I too have the article that he quotes from. Now, let's continue reading that quote, right? We're going to begin with the very next line to the quote that he just gave us, okay? Says, moreover, it must be acknowledged that Psalm 104 looks at home in the Israelite corpus of Psalms, whereas the hymn of Aten marks a radical departure from traditional Egyptian solar hymns. Is it possible that the influence went in the other direction? That an early prototype of Psalm 104 may actually predate the hymn to Aten? This paper will explore this question and argue that Akhenaten's religious reforms were an aberration that may have been the result of foreign influence. This is the same article. This is the very next line in the article that he quoted. That it can also be possible that it's the other way around, because Psalm 104 is very comfortable. It fits comfortable within the biblical literature, whereas this hymn doesn't fit too comfortable with ancient Kemet. And there's a good chance that it doesn't originate from there, but it has foreign influence. Right? So here we go again. Right? Let's keep reading the article that he quoted. As we have already noted, Psalm 104 and the hymn to Aten contain striking parallels. However, the parallels between Psalm 104 and Genesis 1 are equally strong. Upon close inspection, it is clear that Psalm 104 is a vivid and lively retelling of the creation account recorded in Genesis 1. As such, Psalm 104 looks very much at home in the Hebrew Psalter, whereas the hymn to Aten, along with the religion of Akhenaten, is an aberration. The hymn to Aten generally delights in nature. It lacks rigid, repetitive style of solar hymns composed before and after the time of Akhenaten that would use as incantations in temple liturgy. Is it possible that Akhenaten was influenced by a corpus of literature that was introduced into Egypt by the Asiatics? There's no way to prove this, but it seems more likely than the scenario suggested by Day, in which a hymn originating a heretical and long forgotten pharaoh was preserved for safekeeping by the Canaanites and finally transmitted to an Israelite scribe living 500 or 600 years later. Right? It's like, yeah, it could go the other way. And maybe it, the Bible got it from this heretical pharaoh, but it's not likely because a lot of stuff has to fill in. A lot of dots have to be connected in order to make that happen. Again, right? It seems more likely than the scenario that a hymn originating with a heretical or long forgotten pharaoh was preserved for safekeeping by the Canaanites and then finally transmitted to an Israelite scribe 600 years later. Because that's what we have to believe if Jabari's correlation is to take hold. Like all these things have to line up. Right? Let's continue. The similarities extend not only to theme, but also to the order in which various natural phenomena are discussed. However, the similarities between the two texts make the differences all the more telling. One, the hymn to the Aten is entirely amoral, where Psalm 104 has strong moralistic aspect. Two, the hymn to the Aten refers to the Pharaoh as, quote, the son whom the Aten love, and for whom the Aten awakes everyone to work. The rays of the Aten bend the land for the Pharaoh, a reference to the Pharaoh's hegemony over foreign rulers. In contrast, Psalm 104 contains no reference to the king or human rule. 3. The hymn to the Aten distinguishes the people of foreign lands and the people of Egypt, whereas Psalm 104 speaks only of mankind. 4. The hymn to the Aten connects darkness with the absence of Aten, the serpent's bite, and the theft of goods. Psalm 104 does not associate darkness with the absence of God or with danger, but rather states that God makes darkness. 5. Most significantly, Psalm 104 speaks of natural phenomena as testifying to the glory and goodness of God, whereas the hymn to Aten associates the deity with the sun disk or its light. For example, the Aten appears beautifully on the horizon of heaven, sets in the western light land, glistens, and its rays are felt upon the earth. In this respect, the hymn to Aten shares much in common with other solo hymns in the A&E. So now remember, this is the article that he quoted from. And it's saying that it's very, very different. Right? There's some similarities, which of course there's going to be similarities if these things are written in the same part of the world, the H and the East. So of course there's going to be some overlap, but the differences are striking. Okay? So then he goes on, Jabari, and shares the hymn to Pharaoh, which is in Amarna letter 147. So there's a correspondence between Aten and the king of Amarna, right? And so let me read the letter here. It says, "The king, my lord, my God, my son, message of Abi Milku, your servant. I fall at the feet of the king, my lord, 7 times, 7 times. I am the dirt under the sandals of the king, my lord. My lord is the sun who comes forth all the lands day by day, according to the way of being of the sun. His gracious father who gives life by his sweet breath and returns from his north wind, who establishes the entire land in peace by the power of his arm. He gives forth his cry in the sky like Baal, and all the land is frightened at his cry. You are the sun who comes forth over me, and the brazen wall set up for him. And because of the powerful arm, I am at rest. I am confident." Right? Just really just really pouring it on thick for the Pharaoh, right? So Jabari shares that. Now remember, he says it's a mystery. We don't know how the information got to the Hebrews to put it in their Bible. But then he turns and shares this. And because there was a correspondence between this prince and the Pharaoh, that this will be a way of the hymn of Aten to be transmitted to other people so that eventually a Hebrew scribe would get wind of it and write it down. Here's a problem with that. Going back to the article that he quoted from, it disagrees with his theory. And it says, there were 24 hymns altogether, one for each hour of the day. These hymns were not for public recitation, but were magical incantations that the king alone had knowledge of. Quote, the king knows this secret speech, which the Easterners say when they chant the song of Ra at his rising, at his appearance on the horizon when they open for him the double door in the gateway of the eastern horizon as he sails on the path of the sky. He knows their initiations and their forms. It's secret speech, bro. This wasn't for the public. So yeah, even though he had correspondence with these other rulers, he didn't tell them this stuff. It was just for him. And he quotes the hymn. It says the king knows the secret speech. Not the people in Amarna, not the people in the Levantine area, not the Hebrews, nobody in Mesopotamia. No. Just the king. Just the king. Just the king. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, that's it, He desperately wants to make this connection. But the scholarship that he shares doesn't agree with him at all. And he tries to shoehorn that particular article to make his case. But even the very quote that he shares doesn't make the case for him. It says, I don't know. The guy says, I don't know how this could be a connection. In fact, he says it probably makes more sense if it's the other way around. And then he goes on to show you the differences between Psalm 104 and the Hymn of Ra. Again, he shared this. I did not know this article until he presented. I had no clue. But when you read it, again, what he shared cut his argument. I just showed you the more of the article that really does damage to his whole argument. And then he tries to make us think because the Pharaoh had correspondence with other rulers that somehow that's how it gets transmitted, where the king himself is quoted in saying that this is secret. So who do we believe? Jabari or the king? Because the king said it's secret. I know it. These other guys, they chant, do these other things, but I got that secret speech, though. Right? So again, it's like, I will read. If you put something up, I will look for it and I will read it. But time and time again, what have we seen? And not just Jabari, but others as well. They quote something. I find the article, I find the book. You read a little bit before, a little bit after the quote, and the quote is not saying what they're making it to say. That's it. But once again, his sources do him dirty. That was his source. Never knew what that was until he brought it up. But even if I didn't even have the source, the part that he quotes from doesn't make his argument for him. So again, guys, I mean, never waver from your commitment to Christ. As much as people try to poke holes through our doctrine, time and time again, we see that the Bible remains true. And this is just another example. If you've made a decision to make Jesus Lord, you have made not only the best, but the most informed decision you could have ever made. Like, you're on the right side of history if you're a Christian. And again, they come and they try to cast doubt. and try to, and the Bible stays. It stays. It remains. So, what's up, Tyler Lott? Roman Rome's in the house. And yeah, pretty much Rome. I mean, par for the course at this point, right? Servant of Christ at the building. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. So that's it. Like Michelle said, straight to the point. He makes this claim. He tries to back up a claim with the source. The part of the source that he shares doesn't back up his claim. And if you read more of the source, it really shows it doesn't back up his claim. So I don't know what he was doing. That was strange. But again, the Bible is true. Right? So with that, BK sign off. Hey.